I know it's early days, but I have already fallen in love with Moonlight Peaks. Some might say I'm a little bit obsessed. However, going into the game, there are a few things that I would have liked to have known just to make that beginner experience a little bit easier. So today I'm going to share with you everything I wish I had known before starting the game, and also share some beginner tips and tricks and some just general information that you should know. If you've been enjoying the game and you have some things to share as well, please leave a comment. It will help out your fellow community members. But I'm going to stop rambling now and we're going to get into the video and share this important knowledge. First off, when you start the game, you are transported straight into the character customization screen, and there is a lot of stuff here, but from the get-go, one thing you might not realize to do is scroll down. Make sure you scroll down because there are so many more options waiting below. You can change your appearance after you start, so don't panic if you're not sure or you're not 100% on your decisions. You can always change this. There is a mirror that is in your home when you first load into the game, and you can change things such as your makeup, your outfit. However, you can't change everything. So things such as your hair, you will be required to purchase a potion for later on, and then you can adjust those things if you really want to change it up a little bit. Once you're on your farm, it's also a good time to get used to the controls. These will vary between PC and console, obviously. For either platform that you play on, there isn't really much of a guide visible on the screen for this, which kind of means you have to do a little bit of work for yourself and figure it out. I recommend that you head over to your settings and go to the controls tab and familiarize yourself with the buttons. And I'm saying this because I spent a long time button mashing on my keyboard trying to figure out how to enter decorating mode. It is X if you are playing on keyboard and mouse. If you don't like the controls for whatever reason, you also have the ability to amend them to suit your desired playstyle. Also in your settings, you have the option to change the clock system. Some people prefer the 24-hour clock and some people prefer the 12-hour clock, so you can amend that to suit your preferences as well. Here you can also switch up between the different character pictures. There's two kind of styles. One is the traditional style and one's a bit more of like an anime style. So whichever one kind of suits you best, whichever one you prefer, you can decide. I'm really having a hard time choosing between. I've kind of used both, so I'm switching between frequently. It is worth knowing that the days in this game are not actually days, they're kind of nights, and it runs from 6 PM until 6 AM. A rooster noise will begin to sound at around 5 AM, and this is your cue to make your way home. However, if you do not make it home in time, don't panic. You will just go poof and then be returned to your coffin, and you don't receive any sort of penalty the next day, as far as I can tell. Before you start farming and gathering items, you will probably also want to understand the storage system. If you've seen the crafting bench, don't panic. You do not need to craft a crazy amount of storage chests because your house is actually your main storage and there is no limit on the amount of items you can put in there. To store items, you just go into your backpack and then you scroll down to the store kind of option. This is a little bit time consuming. I really do hope they give us like a button that we can just press to just move it into our storage, but we'll see with that. The key benefit of using your house as your main storage is that you will be able to pull items from this when crafting, cooking, and using your machines. This works when you're inside your house and also outside your house. You cannot do this with the crates, it won't pull from there. It is worth knowing that when decorating, you can't pull furniture pieces directly from your house storage, you just place them from your inventory. So you have to move your furniture pieces into your inventory to then be able to place them. Crates are not totally redundant though. You can use them if you want to avoid the extra loading screen of entering and exiting your house, and they can be good for quick access for that reason. They are also exempt from the crafting machines, which can also be used as a positive because that means the items you put in there aren't going to be pulled to use in your crafters. So if you want to save some items, keep them safe, you can do that in there. Players, as I mentioned, do have their own dedicated inventory as well, but this can fill up pretty quickly. If you find a flower or a shell that you want to keep, but perhaps your inventory is full and you do not want to drop anything, you can actually pick the item and leave it there, then return the next day to go and collect it or kind of return later. This has not been confirmed, but I kind of have a gut feeling that if you pick stuff, leave it there, this might increase the likelihood of other things spawning in or start that process. Not confirmed though, don't hold me to that. If you are looking for an inventory upgrade, you can purchase one from the Web of Wonders shop. It will cost you 2,000 gold though, but in my opinion, that is 100% worth it, especially early on when you want to gather everything. Also, just a quick note about your tools, as I was asked this during stream, your tools are not going to break. You can upgrade them in the carpenter shop, and it is worthwhile kind of focusing on that, as well as the hits on like trees and rocks. It is quite time consuming. They do need a lot of hits in the beginning. Back to the topic of chests, you will also receive Chester if you follow the story and complete your town registration. This is your shipping bin and it is very much alive. I have a few tips to give about it. Firstly, you can move this freely if you go into your decorating mode. You don't need to use a spell or any sort of kind of carpentry expertise on this. And secondly, you can sell stuff, and then if you change your mind later in the day, before the day ends, you can actually go back into your bin and take the item out if you want it back. You will receive the money from your shipping bin the next day, and early on I recommend saving as much as you can, as you will want a barn and there is a hefty price tag of 4,000 gold, and you will need the money for the chickens to go in them as well. The game does have a lot of cute things for sale, but try your best to resist, as it will help you in the long term. Also, a top tip for when it comes to placing the barn, make sure you have cleared out an area big enough for it, because I was a numpty and I went all the way to the carpentry shop, purchased it, and then I had to run all the way home, clear the area, and then return to the carpentry shop. So clear out your area first of all, and make sure you've got a big enough space. I believe it's 4x4 if my memory serves me right. One of the best ways early on I found for making money was through fishing, because it kind of just required my stamina, and making wine in the kegs is also a good way to go. As well as being against the clock, there is also your stamina to consider. You can refill your stamina by eating foods and some foraged items. Just be careful and make sure to check if they're actually restoring your stamina. You will see if you hover over it in either your almanac or your inventory that there is a purple icon, and it will tell you how much this will increase your stamina by. Things like fish will restore your stamina. However, it's worth considering whether the amount of stamina you gain is worth the financial cost, as some fish will sell for quite a bit of money. Also, check your cooking recipes, as cooked food will also likely replenish your stamina more than uncooked. My favorite recipe so far is the gazpacho, as it only takes 2 tomatoes and an onion for 40 energy. The best item I've found to purchase in the town is at Samuel's Bar, and that is the blood orange juice, which replenishes 112 energy for 350 coins. That's going to totally refill your energy bar. Something I wish the developers would alter is that when you swipe your net, it depletes your energy, even if you don't catch anything. So be very careful, because bug and blob catching in this game is quite hard, so your energy will deplete pretty quickly if you make lots of misses like I do. If you have played any farming sims, you're going to get to grips with the farming pretty early on. I would recommend though that you place your farming plots closer to the river. I didn't do this, and it was kind of a regret of mine, because it meant I had a bit further to run to refill my watering can. You can buy a well, but this is going to cost you money, and early on I kind of want to spend that on other things, so if I can use the free river water, I'm gonna. Once you have grown some crops, to make the most money from them, you're going to want to kind of craft from them, use the machinery that is available. To do this, you can use things such as a keg to turn the items into wine or juice. You will make so much more money doing it this way. If you do manage to get your barn up and running as well, be sure to check in regularly, as the animals will drop their items and they can also produce fertilizer for you, which will help with your crops growing. It is worth knowing that you must place the fertilizer down before you plant your crops. I would also recommend not spending a fortune on seeds early game, because they are just one of the things you can obtain from the spiral dig spots, and you'll find these scattered all across the maps. If you see one of these, I highly recommend that you dig it. You can receive lots of different items from them, including gold, seeds, resources, and I've even heard of diamonds, which sell for really good money. Because of these dig spots, I found myself expanding my farm at a manageable rate without having to spend gold at Luna's shop. However, if you do decide to buy some seeds, be sure to pay attention to the seasons of the seeds. Some of them will grow, for example, in spring only, spring, summer. Some of them will be all year round. It's also worth noting which crops produce multiple yields, so you can get more crop for your buck, and that might be something that is worth focusing on. If you're scratching your head on how to unlock the bug net, you will need to have completed the quest where you repair the bridge. This will unlock the opportunity to have a cutscene with Death, who will give you the net and also tell you about the blobs. Do not ignore the blobs. If you manage to catch a certain amount, this has the potential to expand your nights, making them longer, which is an absolute gameplay must. I really like that they have kind of factored that in because everyone wants more time. Another great tool in the Moonlight Peaks is the map. As you explore the areas, more of the map will reveal itself, but in the beginning it's super helpful as the NPCs will appear as shadows if you've not met them. Your icon on the map will be the bat, so you know exactly where you are. And aside from showing characters, the map will also show you the opening times for the shops, and if you click or hover over the building, you can also see who is within that building. Also be sure to check out this area of the map as you might find some extra stalls, and also keep your eyes peeled for Yabbis as they do have a nice little shop as well. The only downside of the map is that there isn't a way to set a waypoint or a marker, so there's nothing really to guide you to say that you're heading in the right direction. I do wish that they could add this in perhaps, but the only way to do it currently is open up the map, close it again, and double check you're heading in the right direction. So it is a bit time consuming, but fingers crossed this might be something that they would consider adding with the quality of life update. When you have unlocked it, there is also a map for the mines, which to me wasn't immediately obvious from the get-go. If you're on PC, you can switch between the different maps by pressing F. You do not actually have to be in the mines to do this, you can do it from wherever you are in the world. When it comes to your map and getting around, there are quite a few shortcuts, which I have found, so it's worth getting to know where these are as the map is quite big. From your farm, you can go north and south, and you can obviously go east towards the town, so it's worth having these areas cleared out, or maybe like a little path, just to make it a bit easier and quicker for you. If you're wondering how to get new blueprints in the game, some of these will be obtained just by simply playing the game, completing quests. Some may show up on your mailbox from other NPCs, some you will have to purchase from the shops, and some will be randomly attained simply just by playing the game. Quite a few blueprints dropped whilst I was mining and fishing, which was a pleasant surprise. Now let's talk about the NPCs a little. The main thing to be careful of here is that there is potential for a negative friendship effect if you give them a gift they dislike. My go-to gifts so far have been the flowers, as these are easy to come by and they're generally treated as okay and loved by some of the NPCs. So these are really a go-to in the beginning. To keep track of your NPCs' loves and hates, you can view this in the character almanac, and it's smart to keep track in case you end up repeatedly giving them gifts they hate. Unless it's Noel, then just keep giving him things he hates because frankly he's very annoying. And finally, here are some decorating tips which aren't really kind of beginner tips, but I'm going to put them in here because they're definitely worth knowing. When crafting, if there is a paint icon, this means you can select the color of an item before you craft it. There is no customization option I found so far, so this is a great alternative, and I kind of like the idea of doing it before you even craft the item. It just takes out an unnecessary step. Just do be aware that some do require different resources to make them, like some might require a different type of wood. Another thing that wasn't immediately obvious is that you can clear the debris in your house to make space for more furniture. You just have to use your tools on it. Once you have that extra space in your house, experiment with placing down some items, including resources. A lot of things here did surprise me. Things such as fiber will be placed into baskets so you can use them as decor. Logs will stack to make this adorable little creation. Flowers can also be placed as kind of just normal flowers, but some flowers such as the lavender will be placed into their own little magical container. Bugs and fish can also be put down, and they come with their own little houses, which is adorable. So there are some things to help you get started in the game. Let me know if you're enjoying it so far. Happy farming, vampires. Bye bye.